Warren Buffett said it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to lose it. I think in politics these days it takes 20 years to build a reputation and one tweet to lose it, or in this case, one bet. It's just wrong. It's just, if it has happened, and I know there are people who deny what is going on here, but if it has happened, it's just wrong. It's just so plainly wrong.
So Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary, who of course is standing down at this election, has said that the current controversy surrounding bets placed by Conservative Party officials reminds him of the Partygate scandal. He's been interviewed for the Sunday Times and he says it looks like one rule for them and one rule for us. Jack, how damaging is this for the Conservative Party? And do you think it's on the same scale as Partygate?
I think it's on the same theme. I cannot get over the level of stupidity. I mean, I've done quite a lot of campaigning over the last few days, but also just talking to friends who worked with me in government and so on. And none of us, nobody I've spoken to, can believe the level of stupidity. It's bad enough that they were this greedy, but to believe that you could then get away with it is just, and it's just incredible. And I think it kind of epitomizes what's wrong with the government and why they are likely to be replaced in such a devastating fashion if the polls are to be believed. And I think most people know that in their workplace, the culture of the workplace is set from the top. Now, it's a standard rule that the way your manager, your top person, male or female, behaves in the workplace has an impact on the culture of everybody who works there. And there is something rotten in this government. It has been over at least the last three prime ministers that leads to this kind of behaviour by individuals. I was out with one of my former special advisors on Friday, just by coincidence. And I mean, he was laughing a bit, but he was basically saying, you know, if anybody had ever suggested in the office that we do something like this behind your back, you know, not only would there have been plenty of folk in the room to say, don't be so stupid, that, you know, that's wrong, but also we would have been terrified of the consequences if you had found out. So, you know, I think you set the culture of these things from the very top, and that is why people don't trust the Prime Minister and the government anymore. It's why they won't change.
Peter?
Warren Buffett said it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to lose it. I think in politics these days it takes 20 years to build a reputation and one tweet to lose it, or in this case, one bet. It's just wrong. It's just, if it has happened, and I know there are people who deny what is going on here, but if it has happened, it's just wrong. It's just so plainly wrong. And I think that it's just the last sort of gasp of an exhausted and demoralised and completely, there's just a need for change. I think a lot of people will feel the polls certainly bear that out. I was talking to a senior Conservative yesterday, said like the two things that sort of have killed him in the campaign have been the D-Day controversy and Nigel Farage coming back in, but this isn't helping either. And actually YouGov did some polling on this the other day, and this is the number one story about politics that people are engaging with at the moment. So more people are aware of this story than are engaging with the fact that there's an election campaign on at the moment. It is cutting through, as they say in politics. And really what is interesting about this as well is, as Jack says, the stupidity. Did these people not think they're going to get caught? And also the low amounts of money as well. I mean, if you're going to risk your reputation, your job, perhaps your liberty for this, because it can be a criminal offence if proven guilty, then, you know, doing it for £100, £400, something like that, it just seems so totally wrong, so totally against the spirit of what is meant to happen. And Jack's right, it does come from the top. Rishi Sunak said he was very angry the other day. I don't think it's on the scale of Partygate, but it is something that people will remember about this election campaign. Also, Jack's right about, I'm sure something like Partygate or a cheating scandal wouldn't have happened under him. I don't support Scottish Labour, but I know he's a man of integrity. And similarly, you know, when Theresa May was Prime Minister in Downing Street, there's absolutely no way Partygate would have happened.
I'm interested that Jack called it stupidity, because I just wonder also if it's arrogance.
Recklessness.
If it's just, well, we've been in power so long, we're untouchable, we can do what we like. You're talking to people, Peter, in Conservative circles. Could you describe it as arrogance? Is it stupidity? Is it just, just giving up now?
There's just disbelief as well from some at the more senior level that this has happened. It's just absolute stupidity. It is arrogance. It's all those things. It's, oh, well, won't be caught. Oh, it's not that big a deal. Oh, well, you know, we'll get away with it. And maybe it's a sense of, well, actually it's all coming to an end. Maybe we'll sort of feather our nests, but also, look, £400 is a lot of money to a lot of people, but it's not a life-changing amount of money to most people. If that is what these bets have been about, and the allegations in the Sunday Times are about sort of more money than that, and a flurry of bets from various quarters. But it's just so sad and stupid and frustrating, I think, for a lot of people at the senior levels of the Conservative Party, and for those of us who have been involved previously who are watching on now, just thinking, it's easy to say that wouldn't have happened in my day, but actually it wouldn't have. And I just think that, I can totally get Jack's former colleagues' thoughts on this, that it would just be unthinkable in the Conservative Party that I worked in, whereas now it just seems that anything goes, and that's really awful.
Jack, is there a wider problem here? I mean, whenever there's polling done, voters tend to say we just don't trust politicians. I think they're all lying to us all the time. Is there a deeper problem here that goes beyond the Conservative Party, that stories like this, incidents like this, just damage politics on a wider level?
100%, and it's really deep. I think I've been in about 7 or 8 different constituencies in the last week, with candidates meeting voters and knocking doors, as everybody says, and the level of distance from the election, the level of disillusionment, the distrust is staggering. Actually, it's deeper than I've ever seen it at an election campaign, and I think whoever's in government in the coming years, whoever wins, and then whoever's honoured enough to be appointed to a government job, whether that's as a minister or behind the scenes, like these people seem to have been, they need to treat that position with the honour and the sense of privilege that it deserves, because you only get one good shot at government. If you're in there behind the scenes or up front, you should be so honoured to be there. What an amazing privilege at that point in your life, to be able to try and help improve and change the country. And whoever takes over and whoever's appointed after the 4th of July, they need to remember this moment, because the voters will remember it. And if they make the same mistakes, then they will pay for it too.
I just want to say maybe a quick word about the police protection officer scandal. I don't want to obviously prejudice the case or do anything that would jeopardise that. But I worked with police protection officers. I worked with both Prime Ministers and the Northern Ireland Secretary, who of course has 24-hour police protection. And those guys are great. They're really incredible people who do a very, very dangerous, sometimes quite boring job actually hanging around. And literally, it's a very weird thing to have police protection officers, because, you cannot go for a pint of milk or to get your hair cut without these people coming with you, because there are people who want to kill you. And the officers I worked with were fantastic, great people, generally very good-humoured people who just sort of got on with it and dealt with all the random requests we had for last-minute changes. And having spoken to a couple of them over the last couple of days, I know they are incredibly frustrated, very annoyed. One in particular quite volcanic about how much this has damaged their reputation as well, because trust is absolutely at the heart of that. They have to keep secrets about, if a minister has arguments with their wife, for example, obviously they can't gossip about that and say, they didn't get on well, kind of thing. They've got to keep very, very discreet, and can't really talk about a lot of, for years afterwards, they can't talk about their work. They sign Official Secrets Act and things like that. So for one of these people to even be accused of breaking that trust to such a degree is, there's a lot of frustration there as well. So this is not just about politics, it's about the police as well.
Yeah.
You have to be able to trust. So just to say, you have to be able to trust the private conversations that take place.
Yeah.
If you're in the back of a car, or you're sitting having, a drink at the end of a long day with your office team, you're maybe out on the road and your police protection officers there, he or she overhears a conversation you have on the phone. You have to have a 100% trust that can be the case. And I absolutely trusted my government drivers, 100%. In fact, they were good at times in saying to me, letting me know little things that were maybe happening that I should be aware of, and watching my back. And I trusted them 100%. I actually think I know one of the Prime Minister's protection officers. I think I actually taught him when I was a school teacher back in the 1980s. Wow. I bumped into him at an event about 6 months ago, and he will be incensed at this. And to break up that trust behind the scenes, totally damaging to the way government operates and your ability to just function on a day-to-day basis.
It's a fascinating
I get it.
chapter in all of this. And we were chatting to Harry York earlier, Sunday Times deputy political editor, who says we're actually probably somewhere close to the beginning of this particular story.